Alright, here we have our grid done. I went through lines. Another thing you can try is you can do these single row or single column marquee tools and then stroke them, and that works just as well too. I'm going to size this down. I'm going to actually give 1-inch margins here, so I'm going to place that there. See, 8.5, so 7.5 here. 1 inch there. Okay, so I have my 1-inch margins. You can set whatever margins you like. Just make sure you measure them. And now I'm going to Control T and then size this down to be inside the margins there. Okay, so now I have my borders and everything else. I can actually set that to be so the inside corner is on the margin line. Alright. Now I can start going with the typography. I'm going to turn off the extras here. Actually, I'm going to show some of the extras. I'm going to turn off the grid though. Okay. Because I have my own grid now, so I don't need that other grid. So now I'm going to set up the folio and the running header and running footer. And I'm just going to, I like to always use these rulers and these guides here. Because then when I create a box like this for my running header, it just snaps to the edges there. And I can edit, fill. I'm going to use 50% gray for this one. And same thing down here. Shift F5, 50% gray. And now I can just highlight the different areas using some different colors. So I can select this area and Shift F5 will use a color. Maybe we'll do yellow, and that will be gutter. Then maybe I'll designate one of these boxes here, holding space to drag this over. Then Shift F5 will use a color. Maybe we'll make this green. Click OK. That's going to be a spatial area or a module. We'll select a few of these. Shift F5, we'll use a different color. Maybe I'll use a light green. And then also what I would consider is dropping the opacity on this. And then you would further label by creating a new layer and then writing in some text here. So module. And I would try and keep everything the same and aligned just for clarity's sake. And call that spatial area. Oh, I need another T on there. Or another A. All right. And so I'll tack these labels all around, and I'll highlight the different areas so that I can point them out. Alright, so now let's talk about how do we get the other information in there, the typography stuff. So anatomy of typography. This is a sans serif font. This is an italicized serif font, and this is a serif font too. So serifs are these little ends on here. Hopefully you know that. And then the sans serif is when those little ends, those little feet and hats are cut off. So going back over to Photoshop, I'm going to set up some guidelines to help me lay this out. Okay. So I'm going to do one right here. Maybe another one right on the baseline there. And one more in the middle there. Get this out. We'll make nice big letters. Nope, those are too big. And we can type the same thing if we want. But just make sure everything fits inside of our areas. Okay, Anatomy, Myriad Pro is a sans serif type font. And then we'll do another one and that's sans serif, so I need a serif type font. I highlight the typeface here and I push down, highlight the text, highlight the typeface, and then push down on the keyboard until I get a nice serif style font. Oh, there we go, Perpetua. And we'll italicize this. For that, I go to Window, Character, and I have all of these different things that I can do with character and paragraph. Select where it says regular, and I'm going to go to italic, like that. And I like that Perpetua thing so much, I'm going to do one more, typography. Now the tricky part begins. Now I got to fit in all those teeny tiny little labels. I got to label Anatomy of Typography here so that you can clearly see and understand all the elements of the Anatomy of Typography. I'm going to show you some things that you can do, how you can use shapes to make the process of circling and highlighting different areas a little bit easier. So I'm going to start with the Shape tool. So if I go to Custom Shape Tool, in here, if I open this up, we can click on the gear icon and we're going to go to All, click OK. And it gives us all the different shapes that are preloaded into Photoshop, which is awesome. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some of these shapes and use them to kind of highlight the different areas. So if I click on the arrow and click on here, and it'll fill with that color. Now, to highlight something, I need a different color so it brings more attention to it. So I'm going to use red this time. And I'm going to point to that. And if I need to rotate something, or stretch it out, or make it smaller. So like here's a serif. Okay. Now I can do similar things with the Ellipse tool. So I'm going to click on the Ellipse tool and I'm just going to circle something. So like we'll circle a descender here. Okay, now it just fills in with a solid circle, and that's not all that helpful. But if I go up to here and I go to Fill, and I click on the slash thing, that makes it so there's no colors, there's no filling, and then I'm going to go to the stroke area. I'm going to do that as red. 3 pixels is not bad. Maybe I want to up that to about 5, make it a little bit better. And rather than making a new circle for everything that I want to circle, I'm going to have the Move tool, and I'm going to hold down Alt, and you see how the cursor changes, and now I can drag out all kinds of other circles. So click and drag, click and drag. I can Control T and size things down. But if I just hold Alt, I can do that. I can also do Control J and circle things like that. Control J will make a duplicate layer, and then I just move it to wherever it is I want to move it to. And then after this comes the process of labeling, which you'll just use the text tool. We'll make it very small. We'll call it label, something like that. And maybe we should make this a bit bigger. 10 point is pretty small. Let's at least do 12 point, maybe even 15, or yeah, 14 point font is pretty good. Now when I do my labels, I can do the same thing. Hold Alt and move the different labels around. And then I use the text tool to highlight that label and change the text in there. And so if I get all my labels put up at once, then I can just click through and change what they are, and it'll take me a lot quicker. So this is incomplete still, but your project should look something like this. The anatomy of typography, you have the different modules filled in, and the grid design. You turn that in as a JPEG, and that is the project.